Well, welcome to another edition of Ballfast Talk Straight on a day where England bulldozed Bangladesh. An absolute riot for England with the ball, blistering in the power play, and just too good all round for Bangladesh. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. What can you say other than brilliance about the England performance? Again, West Indies were blown away in the first game. Bangladesh were never really in the game, even though they got 10 off the first over. Never felt as though they were in the game, always behind the 8 ball. And a masterclass of striking and power play batting from Jason Roy got England into a position to win the game at a canter by 6 overs to spare. John Norman, you've been covering it for TalkSport. What have you made of not only the England performance, but where you see England is standing in this tournament at the moment? Now we've seen the majority of the teams play.
Well, I tell you what, I know that Bangladesh are known as the Tigers, but for me, at times, it seemed like England are the big cat and they're just playing with a mouse. They're just biding their time before they just go bonk. And that, again, was a case today. At no stage where England's concerned, I would suggest. Not even, that little partnership between Raheem and Mahmudullah, two really experienced guys. Bangladesh just don't have the big hitting abilities that you thought they would be able to string 2 or 3 overs to put the pressure back on England, especially when England's variety with the ball is so varied. Liam Livingstone, the surprise package on top of what we've seen from Moeen Ali. So, yeah, I thought it was an incredibly impressive performance by England. But, part of me's just thinking, it's not always going to be this easy, is it? Even though it wasn't England who won the toss today, they've chased on both occasions. Dew hasn't really been a problem for them so far. All their bowlers have been economical, if not taking wickets, and in the main have been taking wickets. The batsmen, no matter how they chop and change them, seem to be firing. Can it really be this easy, Harmy?
Yes and no for me. It's just the way. It's not going to be this easy going for the rest of the tournament. That's a given. That's a guarantee. But I think England have put themselves in a position because of the game that they play, the game plan they've got. When you look at it, really, being very, very simple. Seam bowlers have bowled straight, hard into length, not bowled any full balls, not bowled any floating balls, half volleys, but half trackers that are being dragged down. When they've hit the deck hard, the bowler at a good length, running around top of off stump, and the batsmen are finding it very, very difficult to score off that ball on these surfaces. So, and they've still got a trump card up the sleeve because I think Mark Wood's got to come in to the team because I think he adds value to this team, which is frightening at where this team's at the moment. And their game plan when they're batting it always been Butler and Roy playing their natural game, their power game. And my opinion of David Milan in this side is changing a little bit after what I've just witnessed, because I think if England get off to good starts in the power play, 50s for 1 in this power play, they were 90 for 1 after 10. You've got somebody like David Milan, who's not the most naturally quick scoring striker of the ball, crash bang ball up like Jason Roy. But if he's going at 120, 125 for 8 or 9 overs, and England can bat around him, then all of a sudden you're going to get a score that this bowling unit will defend, or will be or that batting like second, you'll comfortably chase with having a rock at one end batting around. So I think England have got all bases covered at this moment, but in such a simple way, and that for me is why other teams are struggling. Bangladesh didn't know whether to rotate the strike. They didn't know whether to hit the big shot. They had 52 dot balls in that innings, and they had 4 players caught on the 30-yard circle ring. 2 players run out. It was a complete calamity by Bangladesh. And the West Indies the other night, well, they were just a shambles because They didn't even try to run it around the ground. They lost all 10 wickets trying to hit the ball out the park, which is not suitable on this surface either.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know, you feel that unless something goes seriously wrong, England are never going to come up against a team that will know more than them. You know, if this was in India against India, yeah, fair enough. But even if they play India and they may well do in the semi-finals, it's not in India as much as many of the Indian players know the conditions better than England. There's still IPL in there. There's still 50 over World Cup winners in there. There's still experience in there. So they will be even. They'll be equal, but they will never ever come up against a team where they'll feel, you know, up against the wall a little bit, and that for me is a mark of just how strong they've looked so far.
And no crowd pressure.
Well, there's that as well. And look, you only have to go back to the Test series where England won in front of empty stands and then capitulated as soon as the fans came in. So it does make a difference. You're absolutely right. In fact, it seems to me at times that Pakistan and Bangladesh, maybe not so much today, but Pakistan have had more support in than India. In terms of Pakistan, people are already talking about Pakistan-England final. Yeah. You know, that's how quickly things have gone. I mean, where are we? Wednesday. This tournament's only been alive, the main part, for 5 days. Already people are writing India's chances off and saying it's an England-Pakistan final. But if you were to look at any areas of concern within that England setup, would there be anything that makes you think, you know, maybe on another day that would have been exposed, maybe whether is the balance of the team right? You know, are England lacking something within their bowling? You know, is the fact that Livingston's taken a couple of wickets kind of glossing over the fact that maybe they should have 3 spinners in the side?
No, not really. I just think this England side are playing the situation very, very well, and that the majority of the time, if you do that in 2020 cricket, the shortest format of the game, you'll win more than you'll lose. The batting at the top of the order was a slight concern going into the tournament because of, like I mentioned before, I look at someone like Jason Roy. The way he performed, I thought was very, very good. And he's learning. He's told us that he's worked on a few things that he wants to improve against, you know, the slower bowlers in the power play. And he executed that perfectly today. The balance of the side, I still think England will be a better side with Mark Wood in it. But where he fits in now,
who would he come in for? That's the problem.
See, that's my conundrum. I was thinking David Milan, but I think on these sort of surfaces, you might need a Milan. That's why I've been shouting from the rooftops for the last 18 months that Joe Root should be in this World Cup squad because of the surface that we're playing on and the rotation of strike. You know, being able to sweep, reverse sweep the way he plays, and he can bowl. Was why I wanted him in my squad, but obviously he's not there, so it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. He's sitting in Sheffield. But I look at it might be, and it's harsh to say, it could be at somebody, and he's always the easiest one to leave out, and he's bowled 4 overs for 12 today. But you might have to think, well, Jordan and Wokes give you similar sort of characteristics. Wood might be more effective if in the place of Chris Wokes. So, and that is harsh. Really, really harsh, but it just shows you how good and what level this side is. That the balance of the side with Livingston bowling well, we probably don't need to drop a batsman to get a bowler in the side to have a 6 option. I think our 6 option might be the one that bats at number 6 for us, and he's bowling nicely. So, look, I don't envy that situation. I do still believe that, and it's not just because he's from Ashington and he's very close to myself. I still think this side, with what Mark Wood can give, because Liam Livingstone bowled well today off the back of the seamers bowling nice and tight, simple game plan, and it was very, very difficult to score off. Wokes did it, Jordan did it, Mills did it. So I think Mark Wood bowling 90-mile-an-hour rockets could be a useful weapon in that middle order. But yeah, you've just bowled a team out for 55 and then won a game by 6 overs. In 2020 cricket, that's comprehensive. Yeah, good luck changing that team.
Right, let's get through a couple of the questions. Ruben Loganathan says, why do you think Livingston did better than Adil Rashid in today's match?
I think Adil Rashid came in earlier He came on to bowl a lot earlier, which I think, again, I'll praise Owen Morgan for this. I think Owen Morgan identified that the game was getting so far behind for Bangladesh. He had a bit of a gamble on bringing Rashid in early and thinking, right, they're going to have to try and score quickly now. Well, who better to go? Who's going to be the hardest one to hit? And that was Rashid. Knowing that he had Livingston kept up his sleeve. I thought Livingston bowled well because the seamers bowled well and tied it up in that middle period. And again, because Rashid had bowled earlier, Livingston had to come on a little bit of all sorts, off spin, leg spin. And if it wasn't for the 19th over where Rashid conceded 17, Bangladesh would only have gotten 100 and 105, 106. Rashid would have had good figures along with Livingston. And that goes down to the Brilliance captaincy of understanding the game of where Owen Morgan, believes his bowlers should bowl, i.e., his spin bowlers. Because I didn't think he would start with Moeen Ali at the top. I thought he would have gone with a seamer at the top, but having Livingston and Rashid up his sleeve, I just think the seamers complemented the spin bowlers today, and it was a very, very good all-round performance. When you look at 17 runs came off the 19th over and 10 runs come off the first over, it was pretty ruthless by England.
Okay, what about this one from Drew Devagiri? He says, with 2 new teams added in the IPL, given the huge amount of money involved, do you think club cricket will overtake international cricket? And if yes, how do you see the future of international cricket?
Oh, Drew, that's a great question. And I think, unfortunately, and people will not want to hear this, I think the IPL is going to a level where international cricket will be played alongside it. In England, we have just played a Royal London 50-over competition, running alongside the 100 competition. And I've got a funny feeling in 10 years' time, that's what international cricket will be done. We run alongside the IPL. And if the international players want to play in the IPL, I don't think their cricket boards are going to be able to stop them with the level of financial clout that's going to be in the IPL. Will the IPL get to a point where they have 2 IPL games per 2 seasons per year? That would be the end of international cricket, but it would not surprise me if they play a lot more IPL games over the course of the next 10 years. They're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the ICC will just have to use the Future Tours program and put it in place and say to cricket boards, well, you get your players to play for you, or you just have to go with it and find somebody else to play national cricket for you. It's not what we all want to hear, but unfortunately, that's my personal opinion of thinking where IPL is going in the next 10 years.
G. Paul says, very convincing win for England. Do you think Bangladesh winning the toss and batting was a bad decision?
G. Paul, in the heat and everything that goes with playing during the day, I think they looked at the Australia South Africa game and thought it's going to be harder to score as the day goes on. So if we can get a score on the board of 150, 160, the spin bowlers we've got, we might be able to just squeeze England. But unfortunately, when you get off to a start like they did in the power play, 27 for 3, you're always playing catch up. So I don't think the toss came into the equation. I just think the execution was poor from Bangladesh today.
Let's have a look. Herbert A says, I think England's spin bowling is overperforming. I'm still not convinced, but I back the batting to chase down huge scores. Yeah, I mean, I think we all back the batting, but do you think the spin bowling is overperforming? I mean, at the face of it, Ali's taken 4 wickets across 2 matches. Rashid's taken 4. Livingston's taken 2, 3. That's quite a bounty, isn't it?
It is. I don't think they're overperforming so much, Herbert. I just think that batsmen playing against our spin bowlers are overthinking. I think they're not milking the spin bowlers, and what I mean by that is they're not comfortably hitting the ball out to deep point or deep square leg or long on or long off and waiting for the ball in the slot that they can belt out the park. It just seems to be at this minute in time, whenever spin comes on in this tournament, batsmen think we've got to hit it for 6. And it's like, hold on. It's like muddled thinking. It's panic thinking. Sometimes you've got to buy yourself some time. I don't see that happening at the minute in this tournament. I think batsmen are saying, right, we need to hit 6s, we need to hit 4s. Boundaries win this tournament, where I'm not sure that's the case on these surfaces. And I think that's why the spin bowling is doing so well. I don't think it's overperforming. I just think the opposition, i.e. the batsmen, are possibly overthinking. And it might be the back end of the tournament where you start to see batsmen playing a little bit differently to what they're doing now.
Austin Dacunia says, hey, Harmy, if England versus Pakistan met in the semi-finals, who do you think wins in current form? I'll just change that slightly. Let's imagine the pitch was like the one we saw today. And would it make a difference if Pakistan wins a toss or lose a toss? Or do you think England win either way? Or do you think Pakistan win either way? Do you think the toss would be an important factor?
I don't think the toss will be an important factor. I don't think England are streets ahead. No, I don't think they are. I think it could come down to pressure. Semi-final, World T20, whether it's a packed house or not. England, the Pakistan are used to playing in the UAE, so that's a given. They know the surface, they know the surroundings, but it's a semi-final. England have been there before, very recently. They're used to playing on the big stage. You've got players that have played big IPL knockout games just recently, i.e. the captain Morgan and Moeen Ali. The occasion might get to Pakistan, and that's why I would make England just favourites if it was in the semi-final or the final. But on current form, I don't think there's too much difference between the two sides at the moment. I think they're a long way ahead. India will be fine. I've got no doubt India. I still think India are still up there with one of the favourites of the tournament. And I still think that India could possibly come good and still top that group, because as it gets closer to the eliminator, it's whether Pakistan have got it in them to get themselves over the line. We all know that, some days Pakistan don't turn up, and that's why I think India might just nip them for that first place in the group.
Okay, last question from Arian Sakawa says, who do you think will be the X factor in the game between England and Australia?
I think on current form and where they're at, I'd back Jason Roy. I'd back Jason Roy because, if you look at the Australian side, a lot of it is seam dominant, pace dominant. Pace doesn't seem to get Jason Roy on a surface like this. Ball coming onto the bat, I think suits Jason Roy very. I think of the games that England have had in their fixture list, I think Roy would have identified this was the game where he would have enjoyed batting the most on a surface, which, it might be just sitting in, but you've got Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, all got pace on the ball in the power play. I think that's when Jason Roy is at his most dangerous. Other than that, I think Josh Butler's due as well with a bat. So I think England's power play is what's going to beat Australia.
Brilliant stuff. Well, actually, I won't be bringing you that show. I think it'll be Sam Ellard. I've got to tell him that. But yeah, what a game. I mean, the games do come thick and fast. And we will be reflecting on all of them, India's matches as well as some of the other key games. But Harmy, thanks for your time. If you want more from Harmy, we'll check out the YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe and review. Available also on podcasts under the Following On name. So check that out. But for now, that is just about us done. Harmy, I'll see you when I see you. We'll be back here on Bowlfast Talk Straight very soon.